everyone. Our team's topic is health information technology, and our team members are Chen Keai, Duan Borui, Hu Junwei, Li Zengcai, and Wang Ye.
Okay, our presentation consists of these four parts. The first part is background. As you can see from this picture, the global healthcare information system market size was valued at $359.8 billion in 2021, and it is expected to expand at a rate of 13% from 2022 to 2030. What is health information technology, and how does it impact the medical world? Actually, technology is everywhere you look in healthcare facility, from checking in patients to updating their medical records. Health information technology is behind the scenes, field keeping all those systems running smoothly. So today our team will help all the audience to learn more about the world of health information technology. Firstly, what is health information technology? According to the ONC, Health IT refers to the electronic system healthcare provider to use to store, share, and analyze information. HIT includes technology like electronic health records and teach tools that help patients meet health goals. HIT focuses on maintaining patient privacy and improving patient care. What do HIT professionals do? To answer this, we first need to take a step back. In this field, you will find rules that focus on patient medical records, like health information technician, health information manager, and health informatics specialist. Regardless of the job title, these HIT experts share the common goals of technology to improve healthcare field for patients. What is the importance of the HIT? Health information technology is important in the digital age. Firstly, today, healthcare customers continue to demand greater transparency and personalization. With the help of HIT, people nowadays are able to quickly share patient information between hospitals and clinics. The second reason is that HIT tools help patient care coordinate with one another, leading to higher quality patient and more affordable healthcare costs. Thirdly, a concept known as interoperability can be different between life and death for some patients. Lastly, the majority of customers now choose HIT more than ever. So it is no surprise that technology develops. The HIT field will grow alongside it. Governments are now making it easier on healthcare companies to share data, and that is allowing next wave of HIT to come. HIT works will soon working with cutting-edge technology. As for AI will also be a growing field with many jobs. All those advances in HIT are part of an exciting future for patients. So what is health information technology? Although many patients may not know the finer detail of technology science specifically, there is no doubt that HIT is improving patient health more and more each day.
Well, thanks to Li Zengcai's presentation, me and Hu Junwei will introduce the second part. Okay, before we continue, take a look at this case. We all know that companies and organizations make an annual plan for the new year. In this case, it is acceptable or not if a company plans to increase its annual profit from 3% to 5% by introducing informatization reforms. The answer is definitely yes. Even though the profit has only raised 2%, it benefits the company obviously. Okay, let's see this condition. Is it acceptable that a company plans to reduce the annual scrap rate from 5% to 3% by introducing informatization reform? The answer is also yes. The lower scrap rate can improve the cost down, which benefits the company either. Then we focus on the hospital. It is Is it acceptable that a hospital plan to reduce the number of failed operations from 5 times to 3 times by introducing informatization reform? It seems like the hospital reduced the rate of failed operations, which also benefits the hospital. However, the answer is no. Why? There will be people injured behind the failed operations, which the healthcare industry cannot accept. The only aim we accept is zero harm. The zero harm is not a numerical standard, but a high cultural recognition. Actually, in addition to patient safety, many industries pursue zero harm, such as nuclear, military, power station, and aircraft. These industries has one thing in common. They need to be close controlled because once an accident occurs, it is an human crisis. The long history of air disasters and the Chernobyl tragedy has forced these industries to find ways to reduce their mistakes. This is how high reliability organizations were born.
And then let me talk about what is a high reliability organization. From Weck and Sutcliffe studied, high reliability is the ability of a complex organization delivering high-risk service to achieve and sustain extremely low rates of the harm over the time. And the key characteristics of high HRO are pre-operation with failure, reluctance to simplify observations, sensitivity to operations, commitment to resilience, deference to expertise. As we mentioned before, the healthcare industry pursues no harm, and the relationship between high reliability organizations and healthcare system is very clear. High reliability organizations have two things in common. They have unified terms and principles to manage risks and a series of execution tools. And they also have some specific safety culture that has been prevalent in this institution for a long time. And they are, as we all know, hospitals are the same. They need to become highly reliable organizations, reduce medical safety and risk as much as possible, and reduce the occurrence of the medical safety accidents to minimize the occurrence of the security accidents. How HRO works. Imagine that the process of a system are pieces of cheese. Holes in the cheese are like the holes in the process. In the case of the complementary interference, these holes cannot cause harm to the entire system. However, when operating the system, vulnerabilities sometimes overlap, which leads to a crisis. And how to build an HRO system? First, we create an early warming environment of brainstorming. And then we attach the importance to the identification of mistake and the near misses. And the third one, we discover the flaws in the rules and regulations and the weak links.
Okay, thank Hu Junwei's part. And now I will introduce the electronic health record that called EHR. The EHR can play a transformative role in healthcare by improving medication safety, making patients' health information available at the point of care, facilitating care coordination, optimization efficiency, and engage patients and caregivers. A review of the recent literature concludes that 92% of the articles on health information technology demonstrated that net benefit. Outcome measures were positive for efficiency of care, effectiveness of care, patient and provider satisfaction, care process, preventative care, and access to care. Now, I will introduce incorrect hairpin dose. A patient presents to the hospital with a pulmonary embolism. The patient is prescribed a therapeutic dose of low molecular weight hairpin at 1 mg/kg dose. A safety feature in the hospital's CPOE system requires that body weight be documented in the patient's chart before an order for an ethical equivalent is placed. The hospital's CPOE system permits documentation of body weight in either kilogram or pounds. Then, the patient's weight 88 kilogram, but the weight is incorrectly entered as 88 pounds, the equivalent of 40 kilogram. Therefore, as the LMWH order is entered as 1 milligram kilogram dose, the system calculates the dose for the 40 milligram. The pharmacy also verifies the order based on the documented, though incorrect, weight. The subtherapeutic dose is administered to the patients for the several days until a pharmacist notices the error during the clinical round. The order is immediately corrected. So, how can we correct these actions? So, firstly, before enforcing this measure, the hospital would have to ensure that all scales within the institution have the ability to weigh in kilograms, with the kilogram option locked as the default unit of measures for all scales that also has the ability to weigh in pounds. And all orders, flow sheets, and clinical documentation within the CPOE system would have to be reviewed to ensure that the ability to document in pounds was no longer available. Nevertheless, once the root cause is fixed, future error can be prevented. Okay, I finished my part.
The next, I'd like to talk about the adverse event monitoring and alarm system. This is an integrated function of active monitoring and active trigger alarm for the incident treating patient safety in electronic health record. According to the real-time business data in the medical process, the risk factor index of patient safety was extracted, and based on the trigger mechanism, the active monitoring rule base is established to monitor the inconstant abnormal medical process event activity. This is the active monitoring flow for closed loop. This process goes from proactive monitoring of suspected problems to reporting confirmed issues and rule improvements, and we can see it starts from establish the relevant rule base. The core of the trigger mechanism in the active monitoring method is through the development of the monitoring program, and rule base by the management department is in line with the hospital, which clarifies the scope of data included or excluded in monitoring. After the rule base is established, the system will judge and trigger suspected problems events through rules, and then identify problems events through experts and medical staffs. After identifying the problem, medical staff should take a real-time intervention through a risk intervention process, followed by an assessment of cause of incidents and interventions. Finally, characteristics and risk factors of adverse events that need to be reported will analyzed. The characteristics of related events can be used to optimize the trigger monitoring rules continuously. Then I'd like to talk about the system design principle. The voluntary reporting of adverse medical events and medical record review monitoring used by many hospitals are reactive methods of tracking after the fact. As a result, these methods lag in identifying the trend of adverse events. Based on the trigger principle, it can identify the clues of the adverse events, then locate the related content of adverse events purposefully, and improve the efficiency and accuracy of adverse events reviews. Because the electronic health record can record all information about patient treatment, traces or evidence of adverse events will left in the system when they occur. Professionals can define the relevant events, state, and symptoms as triggers. Once the trigger conditions are met, the system will generate an alert and pops up an alert box. Rules for triggering events in different medical scenarios can be established based on the actual situation of the hospital clinic. First, after receiving relevant medical advice, the system detects the events through a trigger mechanism. Then it compares whether the patient has reported adverse event, and if not, mark it as not reported. Push a message to the relevant management department to request intervention, and remind the patient healthcare staff to report it. About establishes a basic keywords database. Characteristic keywords organized by the type of clinic presentation. A presentation in which the adverse events occurred, such as allergy and bleeding, basic keywords database. Also, through the adverse events reported by hospitals in recent years, event characteristic keywords can be extracted as supplementary keywords to improve the basic keywords database further. The last is detection and handling process. According to the different types of monitoring events, it supports a personalized workflow to configure the process of monitoring adverse events, including the process of pre-intervention and the process of reporting adverse events afterwards, with customizable process notes and judgment basis for detecting events. And that's all. This is our presentation. Thank you.